So today I'm rechecking out an Ibanez RG565. This sells for about $1,000, and even though it's made in Japan, you kind of wish it did come with some kind of gig bag or something. So checking out the accessories, you're gonna get the whammy bar, Allen keys, or Allen wrenches I should say. Look at that, it is bright and it is light. This one is 7 pounds, 5 ounces, which is why I picked it. I asked the store, oh, the neck feels amazing. Okay, so let's tune the guitar up. Let's see how in tune or out of tune the guitar is. A little out of tune. All right, she's all tuned up. So that was a little long, and if you want to know how I tuned it up, I have a video in the description down below on how to tune up a Floyd Rose guitar. Even though this is the Edge bridge by Ibanez, this bridge is basically the same system. It works the same way as the Floyd Rose system. Now, a couple things I noticed when doing that, having owned many Japanese era RG style guitars in the past, one of the things that I noticed with the bridge is that it's not described as being a different model number than the previous Edge bridges that are on these guitars. However, I feel like the fine tuners were not as nice as my other RGs. On the original Edge bridges, I can turn the fine tuners all the way down the bottom and then all the way back up smoothly and effortlessly. This one, as it gets closer to the bottom, it gets a little stiff and hard to turn, like some of the lower priced Floyd Rose style bridges do. So there's no dead frets. Fretwork is flawless that way. Let's take some measurements. Off the 12th fret, we're looking at 2.5 millimeters off the 12th fret, very high. Especially for a shredder style guitar. A shredder guitar like this, I would put the action at about 1 millimeter is what I'd want it to be off the 12th fret. Now again, we're measuring from the top of the 12th fret to the bottom of the low E string. And of course, on the high E, we're looking at 2.5, and it's close. It's 2.25 to 2.5 on the 12th fret. I thought the fret ends would be addressed a little nicer. However, what I wanted to do was this. So this is disposable foot socks, and then and if you don't know what this is basically nylon. This is nylons, like women wear nylons. I guess men wear nylons too, but you get the idea. And what I thought I would do is I bought these because I thought we would start from every video going forward. Now we're going to do the fret test using nylons, and I'm just going to rub the side, and it is catching the nylon, and I will make sure to give you zoomed in look. So that's what that looks like. So obviously we wouldn't want to see that. Now it's not ripping the nylons, but there is a little bit of fret sprout on this, just a little bit. I'm going to use the other side of this nylon sock and do the bottom side. And actually that didn't tear the nylon as much, but it's catching, and you can hear it. So I guess what I'm trying to say is using the nylon test, I would not say that this guitar passes it. It's not tearing this, and I don't have a rough fret guitar, but I'm sure we'll see one on the channel soon, and it literally would rip this thing to shreds. So that's not what's happening here, but when they're really nice and detailed, they just pass over with no issues, and that's not the case here. So the frets aren't as detailed as I hoped they would be, so I will be dressing these. First thing I'm going to do is use this trim block and put it behind the bridge. Now, like if you watch my video on how to restring a Floyd Rose, if you don't have a trim block, you can use a stack of coupons, an empty guitar packaging. Just stick something behind there that won't damage the finish on the guitar. Now what we're going to do is unlock the strings, and we'll go ahead and loosen the strings. And in this case, I'm going to go ahead and remove this. This is the same thing as basically a string tree. What it does is it creates downward pressure on the strings as it crosses the nut. Now what we're going to do is pull the strings off to each side. There's all kinds of devices out there that let you kind of hold the strings out of the way, or sometimes you can use a piece of cardboard to spread them. And now we have access to the frets. Now, what I'm going to use is the tool I've been using every video for years, which is the fret and dress file. I love this file. As I've said thousands of times before, it's rounded on one side. Use the round side towards this. Now you got your strings out of the way. Now what I want to do is take a piece of painter's tape. I tear off 2 pieces. I'm going to use this fret right here to illustrate. Just go ahead and tape off each side of the fret. We're going to reuse this tape over and over again, and then we're going to use our fret dress file. What we're going to do is use round side down and then go in a downward motion and just kind of ride the fret, like I said, at an angle, and then roll over. The other side, angle, roll over. we're just rounding that fret off. And you want to feel the side right here, and if there's a burr here, you can come at it smooth and kind of hit that. And once you feel like you've rounded that over, you want to do all the frets. But for this purpose, I'm going to show you the next step. The next step would be to use this stick again for this. It would take the most coarse edge. And now what I'm going to do is just use it to smooth that fret. You can see just a few seconds. Go ahead and then use the white. Okay, and then we're going to use the gray, which is 12,000 right here. And when you do that, go ahead and you can do the whole fret because you're just going to polish it at that point. And this is what the fret should look like. You can see it's just perfectly rounded. Like I said, like a ball bearing. It looks fantastic. So let's hit the rest of them. Feels much better. And I know some of you are going to be asking, well, is that a warranty issue? Should I have to do this? Well, it gets a little tricky, and here's why. It used to be a thing that the manufacturers would definitely cover. Companies like Fender now have put posts on their website saying that this is just part of the thing of owning a guitar. Sometimes the fret sprouts, and they imply that they no longer cover things like this on their website, and I'll put a link to that website down below. A lot of companies do still cover fret sprout as a factory defect, because that's the whole point of a warranty, is covering the factory defects. Some cases you can get it warrantied, some you can't, so you want to definitely check with the company that sold you the guitar, the company being the store first. Start with them. In this case, I did reach out to the store and I sent them a message saying, hey, I had a little fret sprout issue there, and I gave them a solution that I would be interested in. In this case, I charge $40 to do a fret-in dress on a guitar. So, and that's about the going rate in my area. So to have someone do this for you in my area, it would cost $40 just to have the fret sprout corrected. You can send a guitar back, ask the store to fix it. You can take it to a warranty center. My suggestion was, could they give me like a $40 in-store credit? So I'll let you know at the end of this video if I got a response, and if I did, what that response was. That's why you also want to think about doing it yourself. It's something that, you know, it takes about an hour. I'm not saying you should have to do it, but I don't want to send this guitar back, especially and get an exchanged one, because it might not be the same weight. But more importantly, in this case, they only had one orange one. So if I send this back, my only recourse is to get a refund and then try to find it somewhere else. And so at this case, I wanted to go forward with fixing it myself. Let's get another disposable nylon sock. There you go. And I'm going to rub the underneath, and feels good. There's literally nothing. I mean, it just feels great. In fact, like, play guitars with this. Maybe that's a new thing. It feels great. So this is definitely how I expected the guitar to come out of the box, with those kind of frets, and this kind of setup. But you know, it's not the world we used to be in, so we have to kind of adapt a little bit. Again, that's up to you guys. Tolerate what you will. In this particular environment, I just did not want to send the guitar back and exchange it for something else. The neck is super thin, as you would expect a Wizard neck to be. I will put the measurements here at the 1st fret and the 12th fret right here. And feel-wise, I have a 87 to 89 era RG550, and I can tell you that that neck feels a little thinner than this, feel-wise, and not as wide on the edges. The shoulders are not as rounded over. They're a little quicker, so it doesn't feel as big as this. And this, of course, is a super thin neck. This is a neck for someone who wants a super, super thin shredder neck. It feels, and again, we're not going by exact measurements, we're going by the feel of it. It feels like half the thickness of a Fender Stratocaster neck. It is a 5-piece neck, so we have 3 pieces of maple and then 2 strips of walnut. Looks like the center is quarter sawn and a little bit of quarter sawn on the side, but it looks like the center was quarter sawn. So again, we're seeing this trend a lot now with guitars, the center piece being quarter sawn and the outer pieces being flat sawn. which is cool. You get the volute at the end, which thickens the neck. So not only are they adding the volute, which is stability, but they're not drilling those two holes. Anyone who goes on Reverb and looks at old Ibanez will see lots of cracks right there. Comes in green. The green is gorgeous. Although I like the orange a lot, it looks literally like a road cone. There's no exaggeration, no matter how the colors come across on YouTube. They're using the old school neck attachment, which keeps this carve right here. And then of course the old Ibanez plate. I like that. I don't really care. I mean, the new design, the rounded new design is better. It's a far superior design. I call it the handshake when you hold the guitar right here, how comfortable it is. The new ones, the rounded ones, are even better. This is just kind of like for nostalgia. Like, oh wow, it's like it used to be. The other thing that they did that I wish they wouldn't do is, if you notice this, where this comes up on here on the neck, if you look at new Ibanez's, it cuts off about 3 millimeters. So it stops right about there. And the reason is because the longer this piece goes, the thinner it gets. And that's what causes a lot of those hairline cracks you see on the neck, is that when people hold the guitars by the neck, especially sideways without supporting the body, the weight flexes that little piece of basswood because it's light wood. And when that wood flexes, there's a hairline crack there. And it will do on the other side again because they're so thin. So Ibanez has fixed that years ago by not making these sides go so long and so thin. But of course, they're going for nostalgia. It's no different than Fender recreating a 50s, 60s era Strat. They're creating an 80s era guitar, and they wanted to look the part. To make the adjustments on this, I'm actually going to lower the bridge. One of the things you have to worry about is with string tension on it, you can crack the posts. So I like to do everything I do when I do a setup, I like to do in the playing position. When I'm turning these posts, I'm feeling it to make sure that when I'm turning it, it's really smooth. You don't want to scar those edges, and you don't want to crack these. So let's take a measurement now. Now we're at 1.5 millimeters on the 12th fret. What I'm checking for, I want to make sure the notes aren't choking. I want to be able to do full step or full bends and not hear them kind of choke out. One of the things nice is this fretboard is a 16-inch radius. It's super flat. So because it's so flat, it's really hard for the notes to choke out because they can be really low. That's the whole point of a guitar like this. The other thing that's interesting to note is they are using the larger alpha pots. So I like they use the larger pots. They seem to take more abuse than the smaller ones, the dime size versus the nickel size. It also has a treble bleed, which is very common for Ibanez's. They tend to put them on the volume pot. And they're also using the typical 5-way PC board based switch, which is not my favorite, only for longevity purposes. They don't take as much abuse, but you know, I've owned a ton of Ibanez in the past. They've all had it. I've never felt the need to replace it. Let's talk about these, the pickups. Like I said, these are the Ibanez pickups that are in these. These are not Dimarzio's. However, let's talk about something that's cool with this guitar is the switching system on it. So in the first position, you have a humbucker. In the second position, you have 2 single coils. In the middle position, you have 2 humbuckers. In position 4, it's the neck pickup in parallel, which means it's running 2 single coils in parallel. So unlike a humbucker, it's going to sound a lot like position 4 on a Stratocaster, where you have 2 single coil pickups. Then in the 5th position, you have the humbucker. Now again, like I said, this is a mini humbucker. Gives you a lot of tonal varieties. I'm gonna start with clean. I have the Fender Princeton, the 68 plugged up, and a little bit of reverb, and we'll start with the bridge, and I'll just go through all the pickup selections. So let's go ahead and go to a little bit more dirty sounds. Let's play a little single note lead stuff. Here's the bridge. All right, so now let's go ahead and test this tremolo system out. Here we go. I'm really happy that Ibanez is still choosing to make guitars in Japan. I think a lot of us respect these guitars, and I'm really also excited that they're still making made in Japan guitars priced at the same or below guitars made in other countries like Indonesia, China, you name it, Korea. Of course, I've always liked Ibanez's, and I've always liked the RG series. I think it plays great. I think it feels great. The fret thing was a little, you know, it was a little bummer. So what ended up happening with TJ's Music? Well, believe it or not, they got right back to me, no problem, and said absolutely they would have no problem giving me $40 credit. So they just refunded $40 back onto my card. What I ended up doing was donating the $40 to the Squishy Guitar Project. I will put a link in the description down below if you would like to donate to this cause. I just thought it was a good place for that money to go. Plus, the main point of asking for that compensation was to show you guys that's what you do in a situation like this. So if the guitar is not perfect, ask the retailer for something that can help make the situation better. And I was really pleasantly pleased with the care that they gave me at the purchase, but the after purchase as well. The overall quality of the guitar was good. It was an 8 out of 10 for sure. And only the reason it wasn't a 9 out of 10 was because of the fret sprout. And also you're gonna have to also factor in $100 to $150 for gig bags and cases, depending on what kind of gig bag and case. Keep in mind that this is a basswood body and they're notorious for being soft, which means they dent and chip real easy. So I would definitely consider a nice gig bag for this, don't go cheap, you'll regret it. All right guys, thank you so much for your time. As always, till the next time, know your gear.